The Checkpoints is presented by pharmaceutical company GM Pharma.
Telmiko and Telas, the electricity suppliers of Georgia's capital Tbilisi, have published their 2022 activity report. According to the documentation, last year, Telmiko's income amounted to 676 million lari, which is almost twice as much as in 2021. The company's net profit increased sharply and amounted to 93.4 million lari, which is 42 million more than in the previous year. By 2023, the Georgian government has planned to sell property worth 200 million Georgian lari. According to the budget execution report, property worth 70.8 million Georgian lari was sold in the first half of the year, which was 82.4% of the plan for this period. The National Agency for State Property of the Ministry of Economy of Georgia is responsible for the privatization process in Georgia, which publishes information about auctions on the website eauction.g. The most expensive property sold during the first quarter was the land plot located on Grigol Perade Street in Tbilisi. It amounted to 5.6 million lari, the agency told BMG. The National Wine Agency organized a tour for American wine specialists, among them from marketing company Colangelo and Partners, aimed to promote and popularize Georgian wines on the U.S. market. A 13-member group visited wine companies in Kakheti and Shida Kartli regions to get familiarized with winemaking traditions and taste different Georgian wines. Considering the possibility of searching for potential importers and increasing exports, it is particularly important to introduce Georgian wines to American professionals, the agency said. In 6 months of 2023, 434,000 liters of wine were exported from Georgia to the USA. Compared to the same period last year, this makes a 5% increase. In addition, the US market is one of the most expensive segments for Georgian wine, where the price of 1 liter exceeds $6. This is The Checkpoints. I'm Elena Kvanchilashvili, author and the host of the show, and the Checkpoints team is ready to sum up Business and Economics Week for you. De facto lawmakers of Abkhazia's puppet regime on Wednesday ratified an agreement between the governments of Abkhazia and Russia on the implementation by a Russian legal entity of an investment project to resume the activities and further operation of the VG Ardimba Sukhumi Airport. The topic of handing over the Sukhumi Airport to Russia is not new. It periodically pops up and is discussed under every de facto president of Abkhazia. It is impossible to restore it on its own. The current de facto government says that the first stage of the airport reconstruction will require about 6 billion rubles, which is around 66.2 million USD, according to RFE Erel's Echo of the Caucasus. According to the report, there is always a lot of controversy around the Sukhumi Airport about whether it is possible to give such an important strategic facility to a foreign investor. And yesterday, the de facto parliament of Abkhazia decided that it is possible. By an overwhelming number of votes, the deputies ratified the agreement on leasing it for 45 years to a foreign investor. Who will become the owner of this very valuable asset is not yet known. It was said that the de facto government had 2 applications under consideration. Abkhazia's puppet regime's decision has been condemned by the president of Georgia, Salome Zurabishvili. I strongly condemn and protest the decision by so-called parliament of temporarily occupied Abkhazia to transfer strategic location Sukhumi Airport to Russia, the president wrote on her Twitter, adding that it is an illegal act by Russia that requires a categorical and firm reaction of the international community. Abkhazia. Abkhazia is a Russian-occupied region of Georgia, which Russia recognized as an independent state in 2008, a move that violated international law norms. Currently, the region is led by a puppet regime, which is considered illegitimate by international society. According to information issued by the President of Georgia's administration, President Salome Zurabishvili has approved amendments to two laws relating to two of the country's most vital areas, the medical sector and the protection of intellectual property. Considering the challenges and new demands confronting each of these sectors, the President chose not to exercise the veto, even though amendments to both laws raise some concerns. Changes to the health protection law are intended to eliminate potential health and safety concerns in the sector while also improving quality control. These aims are laudable and essential, but growing and tighter supervision may impede activity. Unscheduled inspections without prior court clearance, as well as frequently scheduled inspections, enable administrative supervision with some influence over the sector if needed. As a result, it is crucial to pay attention to the conditions under which these new procedures will be implemented so that the law is not applied selectively and revisions do not jeopardize the health sector's comprehensive and autonomous functioning, the administration stated. Considering reforms in copyright, we can assume that their adoption will bring our laws closer to European norms, therefore improving copyright protection. But as a result of the changes, there is a risk and likelihood that such an organization, which will be directly subservient to the Russian parent company, would have a monopolistic position in this field, as has occurred in other countries. This approach carries significant risks for the country. It may be used by Russia to bolster its soft power and influence the creative and intellectual sectors, which in theory should be as free and unbiased as possible while controlling financial levers. Hence, upon the entry into force of this law, the authors of the amendments, the government and the supporters of these changes bear a huge responsibility for avoiding all of these threats, the presidential administration said in a statement. Furthermore, the presidential administration claims that the president is willing to work with representatives from the sector and society in both directions. Recent strong growth momentum raises a question about the dependence on a single source of inflows, namely from Russia. Based on the latest after-invasion data, TBC Capital argues that geographical diversification has even increased somewhat. Namely, the EU share is broadly stable. The same holds for Russia, using different approaches, while the contribution of other countries has picked up, reads a weekly update from the chief economist. According to TBC Capital, the migration impact led to a higher net growth compared to what would have been the baseline without the military escalation in Ukraine. Taking the dominant share of the IT industry in migrant workforce into account, the impact is also evident when looking at information and communication sector dynamics. Nevertheless, probably in contrast to the general perception, though again based on the actual data, diversification looks to be staying high. Also, when looking at the types of inflows that are expected to remain strong, even when considering the recently imposed sanctions over the Russian money transfer company Unistream, reads the report. As for the other data released, TBC Capital notes stronger growth of lari deposits as of July 17 and also stronger growth of FC credit in June, both in the view of TBC Capital being the lari rate cut arguments. Therefore, and taking the other drivers into account, we bet on the 50 basis points in easing next week at the August 2 NBG Monetary Policy Committee meeting, reads the report. What was new in the economy this week? The Checkpoint has prepared a short overview of news and outlook.
Georgian government will subsidize Khatiteli and Kakhurimtsane grape cost by 2030 this year, said Otar Shamugia, Minister of Environment, Protection and Agriculture. The minister spoke about the preparations for the 2023 vintage and opportunity for Georgian entrepreneurs to have access to the world markets at the meeting chaired by Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili. Last year we had a growth of up to 30% and we will maintain this dynamic this year. We have an increase in the export of alcoholic beverages as well, the minister said. Otar Shamugia explained that those plants which will receive Khatiteli and Kakhurimtsane grapes at the price of 90 tetris per kilogram will receive subsidy from the government in the amount of 20 tetri. In the second quarter of 2023, the residential property price index in Georgia increased by 3% compared to the previous quarter, while the annual increase amounted to 13.1%, according to the preliminary data from the National Statistics Office of Georgia. Compared to the 2020 average, the index change amounted to 28.8%. The residential property price index covers the market of new residential property in Tbilisi, both flats and detached houses segments. In the second quarter of 2023, a price increase compared to the previous quarter was registered both in flats and detached houses. Compared to the second quarter of 2023, the price increased in both segments for flats by 10.6% and for detached houses by 16.2%. The share of European Union in the Georgia's exports is decreasing. In 6 months of 2023, Georgia exported $398 million worth of goods to the EU, which was 80% less than the previous year. According to Geostat, the decrease is mainly due to the reduction in the exports of copper ores and nuts. As a result, the EU's share in Georgia's $3 billion exports was only 13%. In comparison, the volume of exports in the whole EU this year was lower than only in Armenia. According to the data, the top 5 exporting commodities to the Europe were copper ores and concentrates, mineral fertilizers, nuts and walnuts, alcoholic beverages, and computers. In the first half of 2023, among the EU member states, only 2 countries, Bulgaria and Spain, are included in Georgia's top 10 exporting countries. This December, we expect a fair decision from Europe with regard to the EU candidate status, said Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili at the joint briefing with the Prime Minister of Croatia, Andrej Plenković. According to the Prime Minister, this will be another historic decision and well-deserved recognition of the successful reforms and positive transformation of Georgia. Visa liberalization, the association agreement and free trade agreements with the European Union are the tangible achievements of our government's hard work in the last 10 years. Last year, the European Council, EU leaders, and thank you again, Croatia decided to recognize the European perspective of Georgia, which created unprecedented momentum on our European integration path. For over 1 year since this historical decision, Georgia has demonstrated a strong will to live up to its commitment and become a member of European Union, he said. Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili, accompanied by a delegation, paid an official visit to the Croatia. Within the scope of the visit, the head of the Georgian government held high-level bilateral meetings in Zagreb and participated in the official opening of Georgian embassy in Croatia. The work on 12 priorities is clearly in progress. Several weeks ago, the European Commission presented the so-called oral update. According to the European Commission, out of 12 recommendations, 3 have been fully implemented, said Pavel Kharchinsky, EU ambassador to Georgia. The EU ambassador said that with 2 recommendations, Georgia needs to accelerate. This is the freedom of media and the oligarchization bill. On the remaining 7 recommendations, there is some progress, but we are waiting for further progress. So the picture is mixed, which from my point of view is rather positive. There is still time. The European Commission will issue the enlargement report in October, and of course we are all looking forward to the decision to take by 27 EU member states at the highest political level, at the level of EU heads of government, about the next steps when it comes to EU-Georgia relationship. This decision is expected in December, and I sincerely hope that Georgia will move one step forward on its path to EU membership, which means candidate status, but again it's in the hands of 27 EU member states, he said. Levan Davitashvili, Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Economy and Sustainable Development, met with Konstantin Limitovsky, Vice President of Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. The meeting focused on the priorities of Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank's future activities in Georgia. Levan Davitashvili spoke about Georgia's economic trends, liberal investment climate, and ongoing projects. The minister noted that Georgia could play a crucial role in terms of improving ties between countries and economies in the region and creating desirable investment environment at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. The Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank Vice President stressed prolific cooperation with Georgia and pledged readiness for future partnership. Barketili metro station will not close during the construction works, said Tbilisi Mayor Kakakaladze at the municipal government meeting. According to Kakakaladze, modernization and technical refurbishment of subway stations is the main component of Tbilisi City Hall's transport policy. The mayor vowed to keep society informed about all preliminary decisions. One of the main components of our transport policy is the subway, which transport the most passengers during the day, and one of the most important components is the rehabilitation, improvement and elimination of all existing problems, he said. Kakakaladze further reported that Mamisoni company, which won the tender, failed to meet the commitments, causing the suspension of reconstruction works this time, but the construction will carry out the work, which will take 18 months, Kaladze said.
Priority directions for the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank's upcoming activities in Georgia and topics of the domestic economy were discussed in a meeting between the Georgian Economy Minister Levan Davitashvili and Konstantin Limitovsky, the Vice President of AIIB, the ministry said on Wednesday. Levan Davitashvili highlighted projects of Black Sea submarine electricity cable and Anaklia deep sea port. Namely, the minister noted the Black Sea submarine electricity cable project intended to connect the grids of the South Caucasus and European Union member states, as well as the deep sea port project in the country's Black Sea town of Anaklia, represented the initiatives that would support creating a new and faster maritime corridor between China and Europe. On his part, Limitovsky emphasized his institution's positive and fruitful cooperation with Georgia, while also expressing the bank's readiness for further development. Galten Taggart expects a moderate increase in real estate prices in Tbilisi based on two main tendencies that come in focus of Georgia's leading investment bank. First, it is the growth of construction costs that have been stabilized, and secondly, there is no significant increase in the demand for the purchase of apartments from migrants. In the second half of 2023, Galten Taggart expects an additional 3 to 5% increase in real estate prices. As for rents, according to Galten Taggart, after a sharp increase in 2022, the rent started to decrease in April 2023. Galten Taggart expects rents to remain the same for the rest of 2023. Georgian music company Bloom Music today announced that it has become an exclusive partner of the world's #1 music publisher Sony Music Publishing, along with its industry-leading production music business Extreme Music. The partnership with Sony Music Publishing's Poland office covers synchronization rights and will allow Georgian advertising agencies, TV production studios, and film industry representatives to license and choose relevant music for their projects from the biggest music publishing and production music catalogs in the business. Our partnership with Sony Music Publishing is a very important step for the Georgian music industry because the presence of a company of such a scale on our market gives more opportunities to local companies and creators which operate on the commercial or on the broadcasting market. This will also raise public awareness about copyright protection and further development of the Georgian music ecosystem, explains Bloom Music Director Miriam Kululashvili. Bloom Music is a Georgian music company which was established in 2021. Its main services include artist management, digital distribution, and music synchronization. 3 Georgian music projects are included in the company's rosters: Kiligi Zerekledeisadze and Eko and Vinda Folio. In the last few years, more than 100 Georgian musicians use the company's digital distribution service on more than 60 online platforms and services. More of what was new in business this week, on to Natia Taktakishvili.
A 5-star Biltmore hotel located in the center of Tbilisi declares that the occupancy rate of the hotel amounts to 60%. As Mariam Kutateladze, sales director of the hotel, told BMWG, the occupancy rate of Biltmore has decreased compared to the same period of the last year. Today, the occupancy rate of the hotel is 60%, which is about 400 nights less compared to the same period of the year. So the occupancy rate has decreased by about 9 percentage points. Mariam Kutateladze said. Biltmore traditionally receives guests from different countries. Israel takes the first place by the number of visitors, followed by the Emirates and Kuwait and the Saudi Arabia. According to the sales director, the price increased compared to the last year, and the average cost for accommodation in the 5-star hotel amounts to $200 USD. Georgian e-commerce platform DressUp.g offers an additional 30% discount to its customers. The new campaign started on July 24, continued until July 30. During this time, an additional 30% discount was applied to one specific most demanded summer products. DressUp.g unites more than 100 brands and offers a total of 3,000 products to the customers. The idea of online store is based on creating original style, free choice and diversity. Also, the goal of the online store is to sell the original products of the world's famous brands and make it easier for customers to purchase them directly through the website. DressUp.g offers to its customers shipping services, free transportation throughout Georgia and express delivery, during which the order arrives at the address in 3 hours. Customers have 14 days to exchange or return the product, which can be sent by any shipping company, and the customer will get the money back in 1 or 3 working days. Krzanisi Resort Residence creates a new space in Vake district with an investment of $220 million USD. The project will be implemented on the territory of the former Sports University. The company purchased the land plot with 51 bids through an auction held by the state. The new project of VR Holding will combine a new sports university equipped with international standards and multifunctional, innovative residential and commercial complexes. VR Holding deeply hopes that VR Vake Skyway will become an epicenter of attraction for Tbilisi residents and city visitors, create dozens of jobs, attract foreign investments, and make a significant financial contribution to the country's economy. VR Holding was founded in 2010 by businessman Noshiko Namoradze. Their first project, Krzanisi Resort Residence, gained great trust with its premium quality among the customers. Airport seats at the departure hall of Tbilisi International Airport have been updated. A new modern seat designed according to the international standards will provide travelers with additional comfort before departure. TAV Georgia, the managing company of Tbilisi and Batumi International Airports, invested $260,000 in the project. Airport seating, produced by a Polish company with many years of experience, is placed in the airports of many countries in the world, including the United Kingdom, Switzerland, Sweden, France, Greece, Norway, Croatia, Lithuania, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Romania, Serbia, Poland, China, India, Saudi Arabia, and etc. TAV Georgia will spend more than $24 million on planned infrastructure works and equipment renewal. This year, $40 million USD was allocated from the country's budget for a wine marketing campaign within the framework of the promotion program. The funding exceeded by $2 million over the approved budget of the last year. Georgi Natenadze, the founder of Natenadze Wine Cellar, declares that only marketing campaigns are not enough to establish Georgian wine in the US market. It's necessary to open a wine museum like in France and China. I think that a wine museum should be built like in France and China. As a result, America will see that Georgia is the cradle of wine and has an 8,000-year history of wine, says Georgi Natenadze. According to him, Canada, Japan and China are also interested in Georgian wine, in addition to American market. In the first 5 months of 2023, compared to the same period last year, wine exports to America decreased, totaling to 293,000 liters. Bridgestone tire manufacturing company might be built in Georgia in cooperation with Tegeta Motors, as Dimitri Gozalishvili, commercial director at Tegeta Motors, told TV program Forbes Week. Tegeta Motors has been cooperating with the tire manufacturing company Bridgestone since 1998. Now their cooperation is moving to a new stage. We are one of the best representatives of Bridgestone in the region, so we have already negotiated with the brand to take over the entire Caucasus region and Central Asia, he says. Until now, Bridgestone, as well as many other world-class companies, manage the company from the regional offices. In this case, Russia was the country with the largest market, but due to the sanctions, Bridgestone had to sell the Russian factory, and now they are withdrawing from the Russian market. Tegeta Motors sold 40,000 tires in the first half of the year, while the company aims to exceed 100,000 in the sales this year. Company Margebeli Holding exports its products to the USA, Ukraine, Germany, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, and Canada. According to Michal Simonisvili, managing partner of Margebeli Holding Marneuli Agriculture Products, are the leader of the market. As he notes, the company Marneuli allows the country to reduce imports and outflow of USD from the country. The more you create, the more people you employ. Directly or indirectly, you create more state income and leave more money in the country. You will strengthen the national currency further. The more you create and the less you import, the less USD will outflow from the country, says Simonishvili. Company Margebeli Holding is the owner of food product producer Marneuli Food Factory and mineral water enterprise Tzqali Margebeli. Tzqali Margebeli combines up to 10 brands, including Nabeghlavi, Bakhmaro, Rauch, and Buga. Donkey milk producing farm Sakhedari sells over 800-liter milk during the year. As Temur Lomidze, the founder of the farm, explains to BMDG, the business has already overcome the low awareness about the donkey milk, and now the demand is stable. In addition to donkey milk, Sakhedari sells various products made from it, including cosmetic creams and soaps. The founder of farm wishes to bring all these products together in one sales space. However, at this stage, due to the lack of access to finance, he cannot implement this plan. Despite the challenges Sakhedari is developing, and along with the expansion of the assortment, it also goes outside the country. We have an offer from China. They want to buy 4,000 or 5,000 donkeys per year. We are still holding negotiations, Temur Lomidze said. Donkey milk producing farm Sakhedari opened 7 years ago. 1 liter milk costs 70 lari. Sakhedari farm has 120 donkeys.
Katarina Björling-Hansen has been appointed head of Moldova for the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. She will be based in the capital Chisinau and take up her duties on the 1st September 2023. Ms. Björling-Hansen said, "I'm excited to lead the bank's operations in Moldova, a country that plays an important geostrategic role in the BRD's portfolio. During my mandate, I will focus on driving investments that help Moldova to overcome its economic challenges and foster closer ties with the European Union." A Swedish national, Ms. Björling-Hansen is currently the BRD's regional head of the Caucasus, based in Tbilisi. She has more than 20 years of banking experience and has held various senior positions at the bank. Ms. Björling-Hansen holds a master's degree in development finance from SOAS University of London and bachelor's degrees in development and business administration studies from Uppsala University in Sweden. Ms. Björling-Hansen succeeds Angela Sachs, who has led the bank's business in Moldova since 2018 and has been appointed head of the bank's Ukraine hub in London, leading the coordination of the EBRD's activities and donor flows in Ukraine. During Ms. Sachs's tenure, the bank has significantly increased its lending in Moldova, posting an all-time high of 525 million euros in 2022. The BRD is a leading institutional investor in Moldova and to date has invested more than 2 billion euro in the country through 166 projects. The bank focuses on creating an environment that supports private sector activity, promoting European standards across sectors and regional integration to bring domestic producers closer to their markets, as well as developing efficient and sustainable public utilities that have a direct impact on people's lives. And that's all for today. We will meet next Sunday. Before that, follow us on BM.G and take care.
The Checkpoints is presented by pharmaceutical company GM Pharma.